everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Let me go ahead and boot up my webcam. My name is Andrew Townsend. I'm with eLearning Brothers, and today we're going to be talking about Captivate 2017 fluid boxes, some advanced tips and tricks. This webinar will be recorded, so a copy of it will be sent out following the webinar itself. We have Adam Cannon, a Captivate evangelist here at eLearning Brothers, and Dr. Pooja Jaisingh, founder of and chief learning geek at LearninGeeks. Would you two like to say hello?
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Hi. If you guys have questions during the webinar, we'll be ready to answer your questions in the question panel or during the webinar, so feel free to use the questions panel as you need it. We'll get to as many of those questions as we can, but if we can't get to your question, we will do our best to answer that question with the webinar recap. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you, Adam.
Thank you. So as Andrew said, my name is Adam Cannon. I'm an e-learning evangelist, particularly specializing in Captivate here at eLearning Brothers. I'm thrilled to have Pooja along. She really needs no introduction, but she is a Captivate specialist. She worked for Adobe for many years and now is the head of her own LearninGeeks company. I'll let her speak more to that in a minute. But we want to start out, before we get going on this, we want to start out with a couple of polls just to sort of gauge where you are with Captivate. So Andrew, let's fire up the first one. And this one asks, which version of Captivate are you currently using? And we just want you to select one. Go ahead and take a few seconds to select your answer there, and so you can answer just by, you should be able to click right on the poll right on the window rather than in the question box. But so looks like we've got some answers rolling in. We thank you for that. All right, let's go ahead and show the results of that.
Responses.
So it looks like the majority are on Captivate 9 or 2017. We have a few on Captivate 8. So this will be good information for those who are, you who are on Captivate 8 and 9, as you're looking maybe to look at 2017 and see what's there for you. This one will particularly focus on fluid boxes, so we wanted to open the second poll about the fluid boxes and see what your familiarity is with this, because this is one of the newest features of Captivate 2017. So go ahead and rate your familiarity or comfort with fluid boxes. If you don't fit one of these categories, just pick the one that's closest to describing you. Again, you can click right in the panel poll window, and we'll go from there. So
we've had a little short of 90% voting, so I'll go ahead and close this and show you the results.
All right. Okay, good. It looks like there's a lot of people who say, I have no idea how to use them. So you're probably in the right place. We've probably got the right thing for them to listen to, Pooja. And so several say, I know what they are, but haven't tried them yet. And so with that being said, we'll let Pooja take over from here and give you all of her knowledge that she has about Captivate fluid boxes. So we'll turn it over to Pooja.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks for that nice introduction. Hello, everybody, and it's really nice to see you all here. It's a large group, and it would be fun talking to you all. Let me just close my webcam so that I can concentrate on my screen. So welcome again, and we are going to talk about the new workflow that Captivate 2017 follows for creating responsive e-learning courses. Till Captivate, I would say Captivate 8 and 9 uses breakpoints to create responsive courses, but in Captivate 2017 there's a brand new very easy workflow to use and create responsive e-learning courses, and that is by fluid boxes. And we are going to talk all about that. And thanks for answering those poll questions that indicated that most of you are brand new to fluid boxes. So along with the advanced tips and tricks that I'm planning to cover, I will also cover some of the basics so that all of you are comfortable here. let me just begin with creating a new responsive course. So let's go to File and click New Project, and I will select Responsive Project. You can alternately go to the welcome screen when none of your projects are open, and you can double-click the responsive thumbnail, and it will create a responsive project for you. Now here, instantly you will notice that there is some change in the look and feel of the responsive course. There are no breakpoints on the top. If you have been using breakpoints for the last, I would say, several years, when you were using Captivate 8 and 9, there were breakpoints here. There are no breakpoints here in Fluidbox's workflow because everything you do is on one layout. You don't have to worry about which size of the project you are in. Whatever you add to this course, you just have to follow the Fluidbox properties, and it automatically lays out the content for you. And here you see the slider. This is not the breakpoint slider that you're used to. This is a preview slider that you have for your course. If you move the preview slider, you will see the preview of your content that you have created over here instantly, and you don't have to go and click preview, publish every time to see every change you have made. There are a few limitations here, and we will be talking more about it when I start showing you all the options and the workflow. But this the previewer for the Fluidboxes and the responsive course is pretty handy. So you'll be using it most of the time when you will be working with your projects. Also, here you can see there are options to preview in different types of devices. So by default, you get an iPhone 6, iPhone 7 Plus, iPad, Pixel, and Galaxy S6. But you can add your own devices as well over here by following a simple steps. But if you want to switch to any other mode, you can simply go and select the different devices here, and it will exactly show how your content will look like. And unlike the breakpoint workflow where the height is not responsive, here in Captivate 2017, when you use the Fluidbox workflow, the height will also be responsive, and you will not see any white spaces at the bottom of your screen, or you don't have to make that hard decision to select one of the height from the project height. Also, to add more breakpoints, as soon as you get to that particular width, you can click the plus sign and add your new device here to add it to this preset bar. With that, let's move on to some of the I would say nitty-gritties of adding Fluidboxes. So let me just switch back to the project that I had. And here I have just divided this project into several slides so that we can concentrate on each and everything that is related to Fluidboxes, and we don't miss out on anything over here. One thing that I should have shown you in the previous project was you can resize this project. So here you can see there is the desktop mode where you have 1024 by 627, the standard size that responsive projects have. But you can increase or decrease the size by going to project, and you can go to you can go to modify and select rescale project, and here you can increase the width to I would say, let me just put a higher number, and you can see that it goes up to 3840, and the width also can be increased to the similar thing. You can actually go ahead and increase it to whatever percentage you want, and it will show it in the project, and you can increase the size and use it for the project the way you like. A lot of people use 1280 as the width of the project, so you can just go ahead and increase that over here, and it will give you that dimension for your project. I don't want to touch it here right now, so I'll just cancel it out. I just wanted to show you that option, that option is always there for you, so that you can increase your the highest width and height for your project by going to that section which you can access through modify and going to rescale project. And as in the other projects of Captivate that you have, if you are rescaling, do that as your first step. This is defining your I would say canvas for your e-learning courses, so do it as your first step, and then go ahead and add the objects that you want to. Now let's talk about the fluid boxes. These fluid boxes are nothing but containers in which you can add your content. And then these containers flow based on the properties that you have chosen for the fluid boxes. So let me just show you how to add those fluid boxes, and then I'll just take a small pause here so that if there are any questions, I'll answer them. So let me just show you first how to add a fluid box. I have a blank screen here, and here to add a fluid box, I will go to this button which is brand new in 2017. I'll click the fluid box and I get an opportunity to add either a horizontal fluid box or a vertical fluid box. This is the flow of the fluid box that you are adding. So if you are going to have a typical screen with a header, a body, and a footer, you will add a vertical fluid box with maybe 3 sections or 4 sections based on what is your requirement. I'll just go ahead with the 3 sections, and you will see that your screen is divided into 3 equal parts vertically. Now you can easily go and click these handles, and you will be able to move this on the top so that it gives ample amount of space in the body section. And then in the body section, you'll have further, you'll need to place some text, you need to place some images. You can go and add a horizontal fluid box over here, and I will just go ahead and add, say, 2 fluid boxes. And then you can again divide the section into whatever area you want. So if you want more area for text, you can just increase this and keep less area for image. These fluid boxes can further you can add more fluid boxes here. So if I select this fluid box, I can go to fluid boxes, and if I want more vertical fluid boxes, maybe I have some 6 images that I need to add here vertically, I can go and add those fluid boxes over here. So these are some of the things you can do, and you can keep going on and on and on how many fluid boxes you can add into each of these sections. So you can continue adding fluid boxes into fluid boxes into fluid boxes until you get that perfect grid that you want for creating your e-learning courses. Obviously, you will not go this granular, but if you need to, you can definitely add as many fluid boxes as you want into each of these fluid boxes. So this is basically you're making a wireframe for your courses, and then the next step would be to add objects. But before that, let me just show you the different properties and how you can select these fluid boxes. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to select a fluid box if it has end-to-end content, but let me just show you some tricks which you can use for selecting the fluid boxes. So to select a fluid box which doesn't have any object, you can just click anywhere, and that will create, select a fluid box for you. If you want to select the parent fluid box, the first fluid box that we added, you can do that by going to the edge, and you will see this blue outline. As soon as you see that, just click on it and it will select your first fluid box. Now, if you are facing difficulty in selecting fluid boxes, you can just select any of the fluid boxes and then go to the Properties Inspector, and here you will find your fluid boxes listed in the fluid box selector. So you can see that currently I have the parent fluid box selected. If I want to select, say, the stop bar, the child fluid box, I can select it from here and it will allow me to do that. And here you see this twisty triangle. That is for this fluid box because it has a lot of dependent fluid boxes. So you can see that I have this fluid box, and then I have the second one, and this one has a lot more fluid boxes, and especially these ones which are quite nested inside it. So you can select any of these by just opening those twisty triangles, and it will give you access to the bottommost. So if this is what you wanted to select, or maybe the one which is the smallest fluid box here, you can easily go and select them from the fluid box selector. The only thing you need to do is select any of the fluid boxes in your project, and it will give you access to this Properties Inspector for the fluid boxes. So with that, I'll just take a pause here. And Adam, do we have any questions? Andrew, Adam, anybody?
I'm looking through our questions panel. I'm seeing one question that is here. What are the differences between responsive projects and fluid boxes? Is it that fluid boxes are only useful within responsive projects, etc.?
Okay, sure. That's a very, very good question. So yes, fluid boxes are used only for responsive courses. When you create non-responsive courses, this button will be grayed out and you will not be able to use it. So fluid boxes is mainly for structuring your content and flowing it well. So we've not added anything here, but let me show you how this will flow when you move it. And we've not made any changes here. You can see that when it's going to the smaller screens, it's automatically resizing and realigning these fluid boxes so that everything fits well. And once we start adding the objects, you'll get a better idea. So these fluid boxes are mainly for flowing your content pretty well in your responsive courses. So that's the answer to the question. Any other question, Andrew, before I move forward?
Yeah, there's one other question here I think we can answer. Can you set a fluid box to a precise size, say 80 pixels tall?
Currently, that is not possible, but it is in the list of enhancements with the Captivate team, and I know they are working on it. So maybe you'll see it soon, but right now the only thing you can do is you can use these handles and increase or decrease the size. Another good way of doing it is by using the rulers. So you can go and show the rulers and set the ruler at that particular pixel and then draw the lines. It's a little workaround, but yeah, currently that's the only possibility. Okay, Andrew, any other question? Otherwise, I'll move forward with the next.
Sure, yeah. A few more questions have come in, as you've mentioned those. Do fonts resize inside of fluid boxes? And another question is it difficult to remove a fluid box?
Yes, the text is, it scales pretty well. You don't have to do anything over there. You just add text, and based on the size of the fluid box or the size of the device size, it will resize itself and scale down. And I'll show that in detail in the further screen. Related to is it easy to delete a fluid box? Yes, of course it is easy to delete the fluid box. Just select the fluid box, hit the delete key on your keyboard and hit enter, and that will delete the fluid box for you. The only problem is that if that fluid box is coming from the master slide, and we will be talking about that workflow in detail towards the end of the session, then it is not possible to delete that fluid box, because that fluid box is being inherited from the master slide, and that master slide is responsible for the layout for several screens and not just one screen. So you cannot delete a fluid box that is being inherited from a master slide. You can go to the master slide and delete it if you want to change the layout. Okay, any other questions, Andrew?
We'll take more questions later on. This is great.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so that makes me move to the next section, and that is about adding objects to fluid boxes. So we created a wireframe, and I've just created a dummy wireframe here so that we can move forward from here. So adding objects in fluid boxes is actually fun. So what you can do is you can go to your library or to your folder in your desktop or your other folders. You can go and drag those images over here. So if no fluid box is selected, it will just go and sit independently on the screen. And when you click and start dragging it around your screen, you will see this blue highlight in the fluid boxes. It's an indication that if you drop this object here, it will be a part of this fluid box. So let's put this in this center fluid box, the second fluid box on the right, and you can see that it goes and resizes itself based on the width and height of this fluid box. If I happen to increase increase the size of this fluid box, let me just increase it, you can see that the size of the image also increases. So it is dependent on the size of the fluid box that you have added over here. If I go and add one more image here, let me just pick another image. I'll go ahead and add it here, and then I go and add it to this particular fluid box. You can see that it goes and sits next to this fluid box nicely. And also, if I select a particular fluid box, maybe I'm selecting this fluid box, and then I go and select one of the images from here, I'll go and place it on the screen. Because this fluid box is selected, the image will go and sit inside that particular fluid box, and it will not ask you to move it. And to make sure that it is in the fluid box, if you click and drag it a bit, you will see a blue outline over there. Also, it's not set in stone. If you feel that this was a mistake, that you had that fluid box selected accidentally and you want to move it somewhere else, maybe it has to be placed in this section, you can just go and drag and drop it here, and it will be added to this fluid box. Along with that, I can continue adding more more objects into the fluid box. Okay.
Hey Pooja, there's a few more questions about, as you're putting content into these fluid boxes, can you overlay images within a fluid box, or do they all just sit next to each other? And another question is, will it always align to the center of the fluid box as you place your content into it?
Okay, I see a lot of interesting questions. All these questions will be answered one by one. So I'll show all those properties to you. By default, it goes and sits at the center of the fluid box, but there are properties that we will be talking about right after I show you how to add the content. And the question related to overlay objects, there is a mechanism to do that. So I will show that as well. So I'm not answering those questions right now, Andrew. Any other questions?
There's one other question wanting to know if there's any way to convert a non-responsive project into a responsive project so that you can use fluid boxes if you wanted to update an old project. But that may be a question that you answer later.
Yeah, so that is also possible, and I will show that workflow towards the end of the session. Okay. Any other questions, Andrew? I'm sorry. I'm parking all the questions, but I have some nice examples to show you, and I don't want to jump directly to that section. I want you to learn about the ABCs, and then we'll get on to all those tricky questions. Andrew, any more questions? Otherwise, I'll move forward.
No, if you're going to cover those, that's fine.
Awesome. Okay. There's another thing I want to talk to you about while we are adding content over here. You will notice that the aspect ratio of these objects is being maintained when they are being resized. So if I select the main fluid box here, and if I increase the size, you can see that the size is increasing, but it is also maintaining the aspect ratio of the object. That is because in the images, let me just move this down here. You will notice that for the images, there is an option, maintain aspect ratio, which is selected. If you deselect it, you will notice that it takes the area of the screen, which is not good for images. That's why by default, maintain aspect ratio is selected. But if you select a fluid box and you go and add a text caption, the text caption will not have the maintain aspect ratio selected, because Captivate understands that if it is a text box, you might want it to flow into the entire, make use of the entire fluid box that is available. So the maintain aspect ratio is not selected, and that will resize the object. Similarly, if you add a shape here, let me just add a square or rectangle shape here, you will notice that when I add this shape, again maintain aspect ratio is selected. But if I want it to take the entire fluid box, I can uncheck maintain aspect ratio, and then whatever size I have for this particular fluid box, it will take that size. So shapes have maintain aspect ratio selected, but you can deselect it. And even for images, if some of the images are like plain gradient, so let me just add some gradient here. I have a gradient image somewhere here. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and add it in this fluid box. Here, I don't need it to maintain the aspect ratio. So I can select the image and I can uncheck maintain aspect ratio, and it will take the entire screen that I have for that particular fluid box, and I don't have to worry about it. Okay. Another thing I want to talk to you about when you're adding objects, like suppose there is some object which you don't want to add to a fluid box. You want to remove it from the fluid box and you want it to be available at that particular position all the time. Maybe there's a logo or anything that you feel should not be a part of the fluid box. You can select that object and select unlock from fluid box, and that object will now be unlocked, and wherever you move it, it will not be included in any of the fluid boxes. It will not show that blue rectangle for those fluid boxes unless you go and uncheck this. So if you uncheck this and if you position it in any other fluid box, you will see that it goes and becomes a part of the fluid box. And again, if I select something from a group of objects which are a part of the fluid box and uncheck maintain aspect, and uncheck unlock from fluid boxes, you can see that this becomes an independent object and these gets resized and repositioned in the grid. Let me just uncheck unlock again, and I have placed it back over here. And as I showed it to you earlier, that moving objects from one fluid box to another fluid box is not a problem. You can simply go and add it wherever you want, and you can keep moving these objects from one fluid box to another if you feel like. Okay, so that's about adding objects, and we also discussed about unlocking objects from fluid boxes and maintaining aspect ratio. So wherever it is required, use the maintain aspect ratio option. If it is not required, and it will look fine, just fine, when you have it stretched or squished, you can uncheck the option which says maintain aspect ratio. Okay, with that, let's move to the next section, which is using the fill option for fluid boxes. This is very important for your e-learning courses, and it's actually a blessing in disguise, I would say. So when you have a screen and you need a background image, the best way to add your background image for your fluid boxes is select the main fluid box and make sure you have it selected here. And then in the fluid box properties, go to the options tab. Here you will get an option to either fill it with a solid color, a gradient fill, or an image fill. You can just select one of these and then fill it with that particular color. Let me do an image fill here, and you can see that the image is added over here. I can go and change the image. This is similar to what you do with smart shapes and when you fill it with an image. So the same option is here for the fluid boxes. I'll click this folder icon, and I can change it to any other image if I can find it. Okay, yeah, here it is. I'll go and click OK, and you can see that the image is beautifully added here. And when I move this preview slider, it shows a portion of the image over here, and that is because I have selected tile, and this image is much bigger than the size of the screen. I purposely did that so that it doesn't start tiling. So I've used the tile option and I've selected center so that it's always centered, and then a portion of the image is being clipped. So if I move this slowly, you can notice that the sides are being clipped. It is just showing the center portion for me, which works pretty well for this image. If you want it to be squished and squeezed, and if it's not too much of design here, you can uncheck tile, check stretch, and then this image will start stretching and squeezing when you are moving to the smaller breakpoints. Okay, but for here, tiling makes sense, and I'll keep it as centered. Along with the main fluid box, you can also color or add fill option. The fill color to the other child fluid boxes, and I will select this. I have to place a title here, so it makes sense to put a solid color, and blue will not go well. I'll pick a color from the interface. I'll take a light cream shade from here so that it shows up here. And then the opacity is automatically set to 80%. I'll just change it to say 60% so that I can see a little bit of the background image over here. This portion again will be text, so I will again add a solid fill and change the color to the color that we had picked earlier. And again, I will change the opacity to say 60% so that a little bit of background is being revealed and it looks a part of the family. So this is the way you can add images or fill fill the fluid boxes with background images. For here also, this is going to be my button place, so I can go and select image fill again, and I can just select a pattern that will go well with it. So let's select a pattern here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, bottom bar.png. Okay, and I'll just change it to grayscale. Click OK. You can see there's a nice pattern going on over here, and because of the tiling option, it is being repeated without any interruption. And then you can see that when I move the slider, it automatically looks nice, and these fluid boxes are moving nicely and creating a beautiful layout for me, which I can use for my course. Now the only thing I have to do is add the objects, and my screen will be ready. So this is what you can do with the fill options for fluid boxes. So whenever you have to add something for background, you can use this option of filling the fluid boxes with the image or the gradient or a solid fill, and that will solve half your problem of adding objects. Okay, let's move on, and after this section I will take questions. So the next is modifying the fluid grid properties. So now in this section, till where we added the fluid boxes, we added the background, we added images, when we are moving, you can see some repositioning happening. This is happening because of the default properties set for the fluid boxes inside Captivate. Now if you want to make changes to it, you have to pay attention over here, and I'll show you all the options that we have for resizing and repositioning objects. Now let's select the main fluid box here. I'll just click on the corner, and I'll go to the Style tab, and I'll make sure I have the topmost fluid box selected. Here you can see that we have an option to change the flow. The flow that we selected here when we were selecting the horizontal and vertical fluid boxes, that can be changed over here. So if you had selected vertical and you want to switch it to horizontal, you can do that over here. But do it at the initial stages, because sometimes if you switch to horizontal and then go back to vertical, some of the adjustments that you have done to the fluid boxes might get lost. So make sure you do it at an initial stage rather than doing it at a later stage. Next, the wrap properties that you see is the most important. And to see that more clearly, let's select this fluid box, which is having a bunch of smileys. Okay, some happy, some sad. So what we will do is we will look at the different properties that are there for the wrap positioning. So I'll open this drop down, and you can see there are 4 options. One is wrap to the next row, squeeze in a row, 1 row column, and symmetrical. And wrap to next row is the default option. What this allows you to do is it wraps one object at a time. So if there is less space, it will take the last object from the objects that you have added and put it in the second row. Then when there's more, there is lesser space, it will add 2 over there, and then 3, and then 4. So it keeps going in a sequence, and it moves objects one at a time. So here you can see first it has placed the object at the bottom so that it lays out well, and now you can see that it's placing one object at a time, and then it is placing the second object, then the third object, and then the fourth object. So it's moving one object at a time. But here you can see that sometimes what happens is the size becomes different, and you might not want that to happen for some of the cases. So in those cases, what you can do is you can change this to some other property. Now, so here I'll go ahead and select squeeze in a row, and let me preview next 5 slides, and let's see what happens. Yep. So let me just cancel the preview, and let's see it with the help of the preview slider as well. And this tip comes from Mohana from Captivate team. She is a Captivate rock star, and she said that, why don't you use the slider? Why are you previewing? Thank you so much, Mohana. And so here you can see I have selected squeeze in a row, so it's not going at the bottom layer at all. It is just squeezing everything in this particular area. The next option is one row, one column. So here it will squeeze the objects, and when it reaches its threshold, it will move 4 objects down, and then 2 and 2. So here you can see that when I'm moving it, it will reduce the size, and then when it reaches its threshold, it will put it in a straight line. Okay, let me just see if I remove some of these objects. Let me just remove some of these objects, and let's try to move. Usually it should, oh, it's going directly as a single line. Okay, let me just do it, preview it the traditional way this time. Let's see, Mohana, if that helps. Okay. Okay, I'll just give it a pause, and let's see if this helps. Okay. Something goes wrong when you are demoing things. So it was working perfectly. I don't know what happened. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm showing one row column, and I thought I was doing symmetrical. So yeah, it is working perfectly. It is going from one row to one column, and the last one is symmetrical, which will position the objects in pairs. So here you can see it goes to 4, and then if you have more objects, it will also bring it down to 2 and 2. So you can use one of these options based on your requirement to wrap the object. So by default, it is wrapped to the next row, and next is the squeeze in a row. This is commonly used, and even one row, one column. It really depends on what is your requirement, and you can use these wrap properties. Another thing is the horizontal and the vertical properties. So here you can decide where you want the objects to be aligned. So if I say top aligned, the objects will go and sit on the top. If it's bottom aligned, it will go and sit on the bottom. By default, it is middle aligned, and horizontal is center aligned. You can also have objects with spaces in between. So let me just reduce some objects from here to show that to you in action, because there's no space here right now. So now if I do spaces around and space in between, let me just add some padding as well over here, and just say 20 pixel padding for horizontal and vertical. So here you can see with padding and the space around, there's equal amount of space which will be available for all these objects. Also, this text needs some padding here. So we will select the box here, and we will add some padding here. We'll say 20 pixels or horizontally and 20 pixels vertically. So if you want things to be aligned differently, you can do that. Also, you can see that when we were adding objects, it was center aligned, but my back and next button are on the sides, and that is happening because I have used the squeeze in a row option, and then I have selected space in between. So here I have space in between. That's why they are at the edges of the thing. And if I go and say left align, you can see that both the buttons will go and sit together at the left. If I do center align, which is the default option, which will make both these options buttons sit together. Right align will put them on the right. Space in between will work well over here. And if you do space around, you will have equal amount of space over here. Also for emoticons, there is stretch to fit selected. That's why the options were not showing pretty well. But if I do space around now, it will have equal amount of space available. For these back and next button, let's get it back to the space in between so that they are far apart. Okay, and when you move the slider, you will see that the size doesn't change, only the distance between the back and next button changes, which is ideal in this case. So that is about the different properties. And before touching upon the other properties, Andrew, do we have any questions?
Questions have been steadily coming in. Can you show, I'm seeing lots of questions about padding. Can you show the example of padding again on the text on the left?
Sure. So if I select this fluid box, which is for the text box, I can add padding. So here you can see this 20 pixels. Maybe we need a little more padding here. I'll add 40 pixels over here, and you can see a little padding over here. And for vertical also, if I go and add 40 pixels, the maximum padding you can add for fluid boxes is 50 pixels. So you cannot go more than that. And here you can see that it shows it doesn't stick to the sides of the object. Additionally, you can add some indentation over here to add some more space if you feel like, but ideally if you add some padding, that should be enough. So here you can see that inside the text box also there's some padding, and then additionally from here also there is some padding. For the back and next button also, if you don't want it to stick to the corners, you can just add some padding over here, and let me add some vertical padding also so that it doesn't take up the entire size of the fluid box. And you can have these beautiful little buttons for you so that it looks better and doesn't stick to the fluid boxes that you have created. Okay. Any other questions, Andrew?
No other questions at this time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Let me just move on and let me show you the optional objects. So here, what you can do in Captivate when you are using the wrap position as squeeze in a row. So if you have squeeze in a row and you are reducing the size of the preview from here, and for the smaller devices, if it's okay to not have one of the images, the optional images or any decorative images that you have, you can select that image and you can mark it as optional. But make sure that that fluid box property is selected as squeeze in a row. If it is not squeeze in a row, it will not follow your instructions to mark it as optional. So you can see that when we are going to the smaller sizes, the image, the fourth image that we had, is being removed so that there is enough space for the other images to be there. So you can mark the images as optional. Along with marking images as optional, you can also mark fluid boxes as optional. So it's the same screen that you see here. I've just designed it a little differently. So here you can see that I have these images added in separate fluid boxes. So if that is the requirement, you can select a fluid box. First you have to take the main fluid box, which has all 4 fluid boxes, and set it as squeeze in a row, and then select the individual fluid box that you want to mark as optional and select optional over here. And then when you reduce the size, you can see that it will show only 3 fluid boxes instead of 4. And you can delete more. If one is just the example that I'm showing. So if you want to remove this one as well, just set it as optional. And when we are going on a smaller screen, it will just show 2 images. So what you can do is, because there is smaller size of real estate for the smaller devices, you can remove some of the decorative objects or some of the less important information that you have in your object and just hide it from the view. With that, let's see the text properties. So there was a question that how is the text handled? So here you can see I have loads of text on this screen, and what I've done is I've just added this text in one of the fluid boxes, and you can see that I have different font size and font style added for this particular text box. Now what Captivate does is it allows you to set the initial text size, and what you can do is I'll just go and click anywhere outside the screen so that I can get the slide properties. Here in the slide properties, you can see that you can set the minimum font size. The default minimum font size is 14, but you can change it to any number you like. So my maximum size of text is 20 and the minimum is 14. So Captivate will try to keep the size of the text between 20 to 14, and as soon as it hits the 14 size, it will show you a button where you can go and read more. So let me just preview next 5 slides here, and this time I'm not previewing from the stage because text doesn't show well when you're previewing it from the stage. You will not be able to see the real result. So if you have text and you're testing it, do it on a browser rather than doing it on the stage. Okay, so here you can see it's showing my text beautifully. You can see that the font style, font size, everything is different, and it will automatically try and resize the text. You can see that everything is resizing over here, and when it hits a point where it cannot display all the text that you have, maybe you have too much text similar to what I have added, you will see this read more button. You click it and it will show you the text in this black overlay object. You can read the text, and when you're done reading, click anywhere on the screen and that dialog will be disappeared. So here you can click it as many times as you want and read the content, and then close it so that it goes away. So this is a very pretty nice feature inside Captivate that you can use. But yeah, if you want, if you're okay with reducing the size a little more for the screens which has a lot of text, you can go ahead and change it to say 12 points or 11 points or whatever you like. Another thing I want to show you is here, in this case, I had added most of the text in one fluid box. Here, I have like 6 different fluid boxes in which I have my text. In this case, because this text is a lot more, let me just show you what I'm talking about. I'll just preview the next 5 slides. And you will see that the text is scaling at different times. This is a problem that you might face, and I'll show you a solution also once we see the problem. I don't want to show you the solution beforehand, otherwise you will not understand why I'm doing that. So here you can see I am doing this and the text is scaling, but the position where the text is scaling, the time at which it is scaling is different. So here you can see this font size is bigger, this is a little smaller than that, this is the smallest. And to avoid this situation where text is scaling at different positions, you can go to the slide properties and then select enable uniform text scaling. This will ensure that all the text captions are scaling at the same time, and it is not scaling at different times, resulting into different font sizes for the same type of text that you have used. So this was the smallest because the text is a lot, and it reaches its threshold much before the third text that reaches its threshold. So now with that little option selected, you can see that the text is scaling.
Pooja, we lost you for a second there. Can you go back about 5 seconds?
Okay.
You were showing that the text was scaling correctly?
Yeah, so that's what I'm showing right now. So now, because I selected this option which says enable uniform text scaling, this is available for your slide properties. When you do that, then the text will start scaling uniformly. So this is the only option you have to choose, and the text will nicely scale, and it will give you a better output than having text scaling at different times. So this option is required when you have a lot of text. If you don't have a lot of text, then you are covered. It will not be a problem. But when you have a lot of text, the way I have on my screen, then you should use that option. Okay, let me move on to the next option, which is marking fluid boxes as static, and that will solve a lot of overlay problems for you. But before that, Andrew, do we have any questions?
Yes, we've got a few questions here. One question is, can you show how to flip the layout so that images are at the top when large and then on the bottom for smaller devices?
I don't believe that is possible. I don't think that is possible. So Zishan, Soham, Mohana, please confirm if I'm right. I don't think we can change the order. If you place it on this side, it will be on the top. If you place it this side, it will be on the bottom. So I would let the engineers confirm that. But as far as I know, you cannot switch the positions.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Another question was, if you check preview height and lengthen slide height, will scrolling be enabled for devices?
No, there will be no scrolling. It will adapt to the size of the device. So there will be no scrolling.
Okay. And then it looks like we got a confirmation they would be consistent. The position would be on top on all devices.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So you can't change it for different devices. If it is in the first breakpoint over here, it will be on the top. If it's in this breakpoint, it will be at the bottom. Okay, let's move on, and we just have like 9 more minutes. Let's finish as much as we can. So here, the next thing I want to talk to you about is marking fluid boxes as static. A very important requirement in our e-learning courses is having overlay objects. So if I have like this image, I've just placed it on the side, I'll just position it inside this fluid box. And now if I want to have like a caption with him saying something, I can go to shapes and I can say draw a caption here. Okay, I've drawn it over here, and you can see that what happened, it is trying to align these objects to each other, which is not the case. I don't want my caption to appear like this. I want the caption to be available on the side of the image and pretty contextual to it. So let me just delete this from here. And to make this happen, where you have a caption on the side, what you can do is you can mark the fluid box in which you have that particular object as static. So what that will do is, wherever you place the object in that static box, it will honor the property. So let me just select static here, and now you can see I have this image. Let me just position it at the bottom so that it doesn't look cut off. Let me just use my arrow keys here. Okay, perfect. So it goes. Okay, it's a little slow. Now with this image added over here, what I can do is I can go to the shapes and I can draw a shape here next to him. Okay, which makes more sense to me because now, oops. So it will make more sense to me because I don't know why this is going there. Okay, let me just add it here, and this caption is added, and when you resize this object, this fluid box, you can see that it is contextual in nature and it is following wherever this this person is going. So when you have overlay objects, make your fluid box static. Okay, that's the magic mantra, I would say, for overlay objects. So let me just delete this and let me show you another instance of where you can use this option. So I have this map. I'll just position it in this static box. I've already made it static. So wherever I place this object, it should follow. And then on top of that, I want to add this object here. And I think I should reduce the size a bit so that I can reach there. So I place it over here, and I want it to be on top of this map all the time. So whenever you have anything like this, which is contextual, you can use static and the results will be beautiful. So here you can see that it is always following the map and the pin is always on top of it. So for overlay objects, you will always use this particular option. Okay. Other examples of using overlay objects is when you have a multi-state object. I have this interaction created where I've used multi-state objects. So here you see that there is a seasons object, and right now I'm just using a normal fluid box. It's not static, okay? And I'll show you in what cases you will use a static fluid box. So here I have seasons, I have state view, and in this state view what I've already done is I have replaced, there is this graphic with the text season. I have replaced that graphic with spring.png. Here I've replaced it with summer.png. Here I've replaced it with autumn.png. If you want to learn more about how to create multi-state objects and interactions using that, feel free to write to me and I can send you some tutorials or some step list or some blog post related to that. So here what I've done is I've just replaced this image with another image, and this is completely supported in normal fluid boxes. So let me just preview this for you and show you how it looks like. And okay. Okay, so we have this particular interaction created, and you can see that when I'm scaling, it beautifully scales, and when I click something, it reveals that particular object, and it nicely places it as with respect to the fluid box properties that I have set over here. But the problem appears when you want to add some more objects in this fluid box. So if I select this and I go to this fluid box and I select this spring and I want to add some text or some object, you will see that everything over here is grayed out. I cannot add any more objects here till it is not static. So I'll just exit the state and I'll select this fluid box and I'll mark it as static. As soon as I do that, I will be able to add objects to this multi-state object. So I select this, I go to this view, maybe I want to give it a star, that this is my favorite season, okay? I give it a star and I exit the state. And now if I preview this project, and when I go to that particular state, it will show me the spring image and it will also show me the star image. Okay, let's wait for it to finish. And okay, so here when I go to spring, you can see that along with this image, it is also showing the star image. So fluid boxes work well with multi-state objects and interactions created using that. But if you have to use multiple objects in your states, then go ahead and check static for your fluid box in which you have the multi-state object. Let's quickly move on to another example where using fluid boxes with timeline animation. So here's the same example, but here I have placed it as a timeline animation. And in the timeline animation, it is important that you use a static option as your fluid box. So here I have set it as static, and when I play this particular slide, it will show all the images one by one. Okay, so it's not showing it over here, but if you have a timeline animation, you can use the static version over here, and it will start playing the objects. Let's move on quickly to the next section. Let me just show you quickly using fluid boxes with master slides. As I said earlier, if you have say a master slide view, let's go ahead and say add a new content master slide, and I will just add say a few fluid boxes over here. For this, let me add a few horizontal. I'm just creating a crazy layout here. I'll go ahead and exit this fluid box, the master slide, and for this slide I want to apply that master slide that I just created. So I apply it here. You can go ahead and make changes to the size of these fluid boxes, how much ever you want. Okay, if I select the main one, I'll get these controls. I can go and change this, but I cannot delete these fluid boxes. So if I try to hit delete key, it will not work. Inside this, I can add more fluid boxes. Okay, and these new fluid boxes on the slide can be deleted again if I want. So let's wait for it to appear. So here you can see this is the one I added. If I hit the delete key, it gives me that option to delete it. But if something is flowing from the master slide, and that can be indicated by the naming convention that it follows, MS23. So it gives it the slide number 23, and it says master slide. So you can find out if it is coming from the master slide by here. So that's a good indication, but everything is linked to the master slide, and you can create your layout in the master slide and use it. Let's quickly go to the next one. Quiz questions with fluid boxes. Quiz questions automatically take the fluid boxes that are added added to the course, and you can see that everything is a part of the fluid box. This is coming from the master slide, and when you reduce the size of the slide, it automatically flows well based on the master slide which has been added to your theme. Okay, so you don't have to worry anything about it. Just use the master slide and use it. We don't have time for deconstructing a course build using fluid boxes right now, but let me just quickly show you a course that has been added to your Captivate project. So when you open Captivate 2017, you get to the welcome screen. On the right hand side, you have sample projects and tutorials. Open that, and there is this project which is named as Adobe Captivate 2017 training. Open it, and this is completely built using fluid boxes. So you can use this project to try looking at the options that have been used for the fluid boxes and try and see how it is working. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Adam or me, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions and help you with that. I'll just take 2 more minutes before we, before we move forward. So this is the course, and take a good look at it. It's a beautiful course that has been created by eLearning Brothers, and you can go ahead and check this out. And while you're checking it out, you learn about the new features of Captivate 2017. There's a beautiful conversation happening, so go ahead and check it out. It is a fun course to take. What I want to show you now is converting a non-responsive project to a responsive project. So let me just open a non-responsive project here. This has been created in Captivate 9. So you can take a non-responsive course that has been created in Captivate 8 or 9, and that you can convert to a responsive course in Captivate 2017. All you have to do is open that course in 2017, go to File, and you have a new option here which says Save as Responsive. Select that, click Save, and I'll just name this as Responsive, and click OK, and click Save. Once you do that, it will take a few seconds, and it will convert your courses to responsive courses. It will not add the fluid boxes to it. You can add it further, and adding fluid boxes to these converted courses is pretty easy. So you select the slide to which you want to add fluid boxes, go to Properties, and you have this big button here which says Suggest Fluid Boxes. Go ahead and click it, and Captivate will automatically place these objects in fluid boxes. Okay, you can then go ahead and preview it, and if you feel that something needs to be adjusted, like this one, maybe we can reduce the size of this particular fluid box to a little smaller and give more space to these objects. Maybe skip can be a little smaller here, and we can have more space for this. You can make all those changes and work from there. So that was all I had to tell you about fluid boxes. If you have any questions at this time, please let me know.
At this time, we're running really short on time, so we're not going to take any more questions. It looks like we got the majority of the questions answered in the questions panel, so thank you so much for your participation and for your help. I'm going to go ahead and take this screen back, if that's all right. And sure. We'll move on. Adam Cannon, our evangelist here at eLearning Brothers, had some cool information to present about our templates.
Okay, so one thing to remember is that eLearning Brothers assets and templates are all provided within Captivate 2017. They're there. Several of the cutout people that you saw in Pooja's presentations were from eLearning Brothers. They're very accessible. If you need help accessing those, you can certainly contact us at the number on the screen. They're there. There's also some blog posts and screen demos on how to do that as well in our blog. And feel free to reach out to me anytime, either via the Adobe Captivate community or eLearning Brothers directly, and ask questions, particularly about the eLearning Brothers assets and tools. We do want to mention that we also have, if you are a Captivate user and you are interested in pre-built courses. We have a whole slew of customized courseware in which we give you the source files, which includes the Captivate files on soft skills type training. We have a library of 15 courses with more coming down the road in the coming months and years. And you're welcome to talk to our sales team about that as well. But mostly we wanted to thank Pooja for her time today, and all the Adobe folks who were online and answering questions, and the Zishan and Mohana and all the others. We thank them for taking the time. We know it's late their time. We're grateful for that, and for all of you who attended, we appreciate that. This will be part of our blog recap, webinar recap. It will go into the eLearning Brothers blog as well as onto the Adobe Captivate community by Monday. So you can look for that recording and the recap where we may answer some of the questions that we didn't get to today. So that's it for me. Thank you.
So hopefully all this made sense and you guys didn't miss anything, but just in case you did, you can call and email us. We'll walk you through any part of it. There's the contact information on the screen. Call in today or tomorrow so we can set aside some time one-on-one for you. You can reach eLearninGeeks at the website or email on the screen, or eLearning Brothers at our website, or email or call us directly. We'll be happy to speak with you. I will be sending out an email to everyone here within the next 2 hours. It'll include a recording of this webinar, as well as our contact information and some links to some free stuff. So be looking for that email in the next 2 hours. Thank you, Pooja and Adam, for this awesome webinar. And thanks everybody for joining. Thanks to everybody that was in our chat panel and questions panel, making sure we were answering questions. So we definitely appreciate you being on board, and we hope we'll sign up next time. Thanks.